We're in the ultimate Lexus RX. This is the 450h Plus coming in at a cool $76,000. Today I'm going to tell you if this ultimate Lexus RX is worth the chunk of change. It's all about this powertrain, so let's start under the hood. Now the RX plug-in hybrid was not available at launch with this current generation. It took about another year for it to become available in our market, even though it was available in other markets around the world. But this is the most well-rounded Lexus powertrain. This is a plug-in hybrid, the 450h Plus, up to 37 miles of electric range. But just wait, we're going to fully test the range here in this vehicle today, at least when it comes to flat, warm Florida. Once you run out of that electric range, Lexus says you can get about 36 miles per gallon. Again, we're going to test that today as well, at least in my area. 304 horsepower. It's not quite as much as the 366 or so horsepower in the F-Sport Performance RX 500h, for example. But to be honest, after driving this, it feels very, very similar in peppiness compared to that 500h. You can also find this plug-in hybrid powertrain in the Lexus NX. It is also ported over from the RAV4 Prime. So if you just want this powertrain with its versatility, you do not have to get the Lexus RX, but the RX gives you so much additional luxury that a lot of its, let's say, siblings with the Lexus and Toyota badge cannot. Now, this is the standard Lexus grille here, or you could say the premium grille. It looks a lot better than the F-Sport grille in my opinion. We have that spindle body grille where the paint from the bumper kind of flows into the paint with the grille. It makes the spindle grille much more attractive in my opinion. Now, at the end of the previous generation Lexus RX 2020, let's say 2020 to 2022, they got rid of fog lights unless you got the F-Sport model. They brought fog lights back, which I'm very grateful for. Now, we also have the beautiful triple beam LED headlights here, which are optional. Standard are by LED. Now, I love the daytime running light there as well. It looks very, very premium. Now, one of the interesting styling aspects of the new RX is this big swoop, and it might not be coming up on the camera very well, but there's this big swoop that goes up around the rear wheel. We see this swoop in, let's say, the Grand Highlander. We also see it in something like the Toyota Sienna as well. Now, also to accentuate that body line that comes around the rear tire, we have this really thick window bezel. That's always thrown me off with the current generation RX. Let me know if you really like that thick window bezel. But as we come around to the rear, we have a modern Lexus styling cue. This is the light bar that comes around the back. Also Lexus typed out. Instead of having a Lexus emblem here, it is typed out. It's really, really small. And then of course we have all-wheel drive standard here on this 450h Plus. A very clean back end, no exhaust tips here on the non-F-Sport models. I don't even think the F-Sport models have exhaust tips like they used to. This rugged skid plate here with the Lexus on the inside, I believe that's illuminated as well. If we lift this up, oh, by the way, you always have first aid kit here, folding seats, power folding seats, which is easier to get on this generation compared to previous generations. Now this is where the charger goes, the level 1 charger, and of course we have a Mark Levinson sound system subwoofer back here. 1500 watts of AC power here to charge your things if you're at a tailgate or something like that. Let's go ahead and close this up, and we're going to go ahead and get into the back. And we do have beautiful sunshades here, like this suede around the Marky Mark Levinson speaker. Now, it might not pull up on the camera, but we have black here, this nice beige here, and then it goes to brown and then to black again. So it's very subtle, and I don't know if it's necessary, right? I almost would prefer this just to be black, but it is what it is. It does feel nice, I'll give it that. Stitching's very nice as well. This is the digital latch, so when you get out of the car, you just press that button, or you can manual override with pulling it twice. Here are the power folding seats, and they take a long time, so I'm not going to have you guys suffer through the folding of the seats. I prefer actually the manual seats. They're so much faster and easier to work with. Closing the door sounds pretty good, pretty luxury. Matte pockets on each side. Oh, this is a nice feature. This is something I don't see on very many Lexus models. The last time I remember seeing this on a Lexus might have been the LS, where you can adjust this seat for the passenger back here to have more legroom. I really like that. It's a nice feature I just noticed here. Climate control back here, of course, tri-zone, so the dual zone up there, and we have heated and ventilated seats back here and USB-Cs, vents, pulling this down, and this thing feels chunky. It feels very substantial. I mean, these are pretty small cup holders too, by the way, so you might not be able to fit your cup in there. But it feels very, very nice, very premium. You can fold this down 40-20-40, which is pretty rare in a lot of cars nowadays. Usually it's 60-40, so nice functionality there from Lexus on this RX. And I love the attention to detail here. Again, suede on the outside of the seats and a nice crisscross pattern right there to match the crisscross pattern on the door. Let's go ahead and appreciate this panel roof. It's summertime in Florida, so I haven't had this open. I've had it closed the whole time because it turns into an incubator otherwise. Pretty nice. Now, this roof does open. This is an oversized sunroof here, much bigger than the standard sunroof on the front pane. And this one does not open, for example. And you've got a big bar that goes across for rigidity, I would say for safety as well. Getting into the front seat, pretty much the same materials here. You got black, and then the light tan, and then you have this dark brown. All right, auto folding mirrors, no surprise. Lexus illuminated scuff plate there. Thigh extension, love that as a taller, well, not the tallest person, but I have really long legs, so I do appreciate that here on a Lexus RX. Again, very nice, comfortable suede seat on the outside of that front leather seat. Huge 14-inch screen here. I have the energy monitor. I'm just gonna leave it there, but you can also use Apple CarPlay, Android Auto wirelessly through that as well. Climate control, you know, it's functional. I still wish I had physical buttons here for climate control, but I'm so used to it at this point, and the fan speed's actually really easy to get to, but there's no replacement for actual buttons, right? And that's why Lexus did keep the volume knob, and the Mark Levinson sound system in here is an absolute home run. I remember testing it on the NX and was not impressed. The speaker sounded a little fuzzy or something. Not here on the RX. This is A+ audio from Mark Levinson. All right, we also have ambient lighting, which is not gonna show up, right? If we go to illumination here, you can choose different colors, right? So there you go, it is customizable. I love bamboo in here. Thank you, Lexus, for including bamboo. The NX, for example, it's hard to find wood in the new NX. You can't get wood in the new GX, for example. So having bamboo interlaced in the steering wheel around the center console here, around this cup holder area, looks really good, and it gives me good vibes. We have a digital rear view mirror here. Some people really enjoy that. I feel like it's unnecessary. We also have a 360 camera, and it's pretty high resolution, and it gives me guidelines too once I start turning the steering wheel. So well done, Lexus, there. Now, a couple more USB-Cs here. The vents down below, old Lexus RX, I think the vents were kind of in here and the screen sat a little bit higher, but it works fine. It's not probably the most direct access to my face like this one is, since it's higher, but I don't have any issues getting cool down in here. Memory seats on this side, paddle shifters, which are pointless since it is an ECVT. And let's get to the 7-inch screen. This is a bit disappointing because a RAV4 Prime, for example, even a non-RAV4 Prime has a 12-inch digital screen back here. So many, I mean, the new Camry has a fully digital 12-inch screen back there on the upper trims, and this costs, about $35,000 more than a top-of-the-line Camry, and it doesn't have that same 12-inch screen back there, which is, like I said, a bit disappointing. This has pretty much the same head-up display as we see in other Lexus and Toyota products. However, it is customizable with these buttons. So you can, I don't know if it's going to pop up there. I see it like shimmering a little bit in the camera, but it takes some getting used to. A lot of people don't like it, but I could easily live with this customizable steering wheel. I still prefer the physical buttons always being the same on this steering wheel instead of having to like grace my finger on the steering wheel to see what I'm touching, but it is pretty cool. It still is a pretty cool feature. This is not a cool feature. This thing is really annoying. This is the traffic jam assist feature. It always reads your eyes, and if you are like looking at the touchscreen for a little bit, it will like beep at you saying, hey, pay attention, or your eyes aren't on the road, or we can't see your face. Like, it's really obtrusive and really annoying, and unfortunately, I think you have to get this RX plug-in hybrid, at least in America, with this driver assistance features. Now, you can override them if you go down driving assist and then go to driver support, traffic jam assist, driver monitor recording. I turn that off, and I also turn off driver monitor alert. But those have turned themselves back on. I don't know if it's every time I turn the car back off and back on, but they have turned back on without me turning them back on. So it's just a bit frustrating. All right, so I fixed the screen. It should be a little bit brighter so it's not like flickering for you guys. And I'll just leave this up. We're pretty much out of the plug-in hybrid battery. Before we get on the road, a couple cup holders, right? Standard shifter that we see on the NX and RX. It's nice, it's just really, really small. Wireless charger in there, storage, adjustable cup holders that they kept from the old RX, which I'm really happy about. I love that feature. Auto brake hold, you have to start this back up every time you start the car if you like that feature. You have an off-road button here, I'm not using it. This button will let you cycle through automatic use of the plug-in battery or full EV mode. I can also hold this button here and it'll start charging the plug-in battery. Fully felt interior box here from the bottoms to the sides. Well done, Lexus. And there's a light in there too, so I'm very impressed they didn't skimp on the luxury there. And again, we have that two-tone, so brown here, black here. That doesn't annoy me that much, but I know it would drive my wife crazy. But at least my knees coming in contact with that nice soft material. But on this side, actually, it's all hard touch plastic on the bottom portion of the armrests. So that would have been nice to have a little bit more soft touch around here your knee comes in contact with. So that's something Lexus could improve upon probably with the next generation. All right, let's go ahead and start driving the new RX 450h Plus and tell you its range and its efficiency. So I asked you guys what you thought my electric range was going to be, ranging from around, I think, the mid to low 30s to the low 40s. And I'm here to tell you that the range here is essentially identical as the RAV4 Prime if you're responsible and you can milk this system. So it has an 18.1 kilowatt hour battery. Now that's total, that's gross. But the net is somewhere around 14.4 kilowatt hours. And I'm getting about 3.5 miles per kilowatt hour here. Here's the thing, what does that mean? Well, I'm up to 45.6 miles on my initial charge. 45.6, and it still says I have 2 miles to go. So once I run out of mileage here, I'll let you guys know what my official mileage is. Now, that's city only. I did not take this on the highway. It's me just driving around town, going to the store, going to Sam's Club, whatever I'm doing, just doing errands, visiting some friends, stuff like that. I haven't been taking it much over 50 miles an hour. So it's really city focused driving, but that's what EV range really should be there for, to maximize your efficiency in and around town. And then you have the hybrid powertrain for excellent efficiency on the highway. The conditions here have been favorable, about 80 degrees in the morning. And I haven't had to crank the AC too much. All right, there's been times where I have driven this in the middle of the day where I did crank the AC, but for the most part, it's been on like 1 or 2 fan speeds. In EV mode, you don't have full access to that 304 horsepower. It's probably somewhere around, I don't know, 180, 200 horsepower. I haven't done the math, but that's kind of what it feels like. And also what this vehicle feels like to me, it feels very heavy. It doesn't handle nearly as well as RX 350, 350h, or even the 500h. And the 500h is heavy, but that has more of a sport tune, F-Sport suspension, right? The F-Sport performance model. This here feels by far the most luxurious RX you can buy, but you're going to have to pay for it. Like I said, $76,000. This thing is completely loaded up here. And I'm not wanting for anything really. Smoothness, quiet, it's all there. Like, it's ridiculously quiet in full EV mode. And that's really all I've been driving in a little bit. Oh, it kicked off. 46.6 miles. I ran out of EV range. So now we're gonna do fuel economy. I'm going to reset it here on this screen. Again, I think you go to trip information. It was so much easier on the old RXs. You could just reset it with the buttons on the steering wheel, and you can still reset it on Toyotas with the button on the steering wheel, but for Lexus models, let's just clear data here. But yeah, 46.6 miles. That is, most of you didn't expect me to get that much range, but I think some of you know how much of a miser I am and how flat and favorable it is here in Florida for good fuel economy. So you can see just cruising at about 45, 47 miles per hour here. Cruise control, just one press a button, I'll just cruise here and maximize my fuel economy. But I'll update you guys on fuel economy here in a little bit. But once your plug-in juice is out, are you left with just a 350h powertrain? Do you not have access to the 302 horsepower? The answer is, well, hold your horses, pedal down. It's there. I can tell the battery's maybe a little bit depleted, but it still feels punchier and more happy to pick up speed compared to the 350h. It feels almost as similar to, and the car just stopped a little bit because I have cruise control on and that Corolla was getting off. Even though it's quiet, it's smooth in here, I do get a little bit of unwanted vibrations and harshness coming through the cabin. I really have to strain myself. If you have the radio on, you're not going to notice, right? If you're pumping the Mark Levinson, you're not going to notice. But I have to be nitpicky here because this vehicle is a luxury vehicle and it's very expensive. So I have to say, like, could they do certain things better? Yes, I feel a little bit of vibration coming through the steering wheel, which I don't want to feel. Some people like that though. They like being a little bit more connected to the road. This vehicle is not a sports car whatsoever, even though it has good performance. It is pure on luxury smoothness refinement. And I'm very, very happy here. Like, honestly, even though the gas engine is on right now, it's just as smooth and quiet at steady state as it would be if it was full electric. I do not hear the engine whatsoever. The only time I hear the engine is like pretty much full pedal down or mostly pedal down, which I hardly am ever, right? Even in fully electric mode, I'm even, my foot is not heavy because I like nerding the game and getting as much range as possible out of a charge. Yeah, it's very smooth, very quiet, keeping up with traffic. If you're accelerating out in front of traffic or getting around, you're going to hear that classic eCVT engine whine, but it is fairly muted in here compared to something like, oh, let's say a RAV4 hybrid that uses a similar base powertrain. I hear these massive dump trucks go by, but I do have acoustic glass here on the front windows, the front windshield. Would I say it's as quiet as something like the Lexus RZ? Ooh, that's tough. I'd say it's in the same ballpark, but I think the RZ might actually have a beat in terms of overall quietness. If you can get a great lease deal on an RZ, get it. It's smoother than this, it's quicker than this. And if you don't need to travel out of town, it's a great vehicle. I actually like this. I can't believe I'm saying this. I like the styling here better than the RZ, even though I'm not a big fan of the new RX's styling. I like the NX a lot better. I even like the new Crown Signia styling better than this Lexus RX, this new generation. I still see these things everywhere, so the styling isn't stopping people from buying them. Even driving in hybrid mode, I'm just coasting. It says it has enough battery and it's in fully electric. So I went back to full electric here. As you can see, the energy, the gasoline engine's not chipping in at all. And I have to look down at the screen here to let me know if the gasoline engine's off, if I'm coasting, because it's so smooth either way, engine on or engine off, that yeah, I have to look at the metrics in the car. It's very impressive with how smooth and quiet it is. Most of the RXs we get here in the United States are made in Canada and have been made in Canada for a long time. This RX is built in Japan, as all plug-in hybrids are built in Japan for Toyota and Lexus for the time being. That'll change next year when the battery plant goes live in North Carolina. So in the meantime, this RX plug-in hybrid only from Japan. So if you guys are a purist out there, if you think like, hey, I love my Japanese vehicles being built in Japan, there you go. The other exception would be, I think, is the front wheel drive Lexus RX that's built in the Kyushu plant, which I believe this one is as well. The only thing I have to complain about this car is the styling. That's completely subjective, so throw that out the window, and the price tag. I feel like I get 95% of the same experience with the RX 350h for about, I don't know, 20 grand less than this. For the mid 50s, you can get an RX 350h, which is going to get you 40 miles a gallon, which, by the way, I'm getting 40 miles a gallon right now in hybrid mode here, even with the battery fully depleted. So typically when you go up in powertrains, you lose efficiency. That's not the case here. I'm getting over 40 miles a gallon in town. And like I said, I got 46 plus miles of EV range in favorable conditions here in Florida. So I love this RX plug-in hybrid. The problem is, like I said, the cheaper RX 350h gives me not the same performance, but it gives me the same efficiency and very similar smoothness to this for 20 grand less. The 500h, I typically don't recommend that powertrain a whole lot. Feel like if you're already spending 70K, just get this one because it's a more versatile powertrain compared to the 500h. So that's my recommendation. Skip the 500h unless you have to have the super fancy wheels or, I don't know, the F-Sport styling. Another problem with this is that this powertrain, while fairly exclusive in the Lexus lineup, the only other car that has it is the NX. And by the way, you can get the NX plug-in hybrid for about 10K less than this. You can also get the plug-in RAV4 Prime, which is the same powertrain. Not quite as luxurious on the inside, not even close, but if this powertrain is what you want, then you can get it on a vehicle that costs 20 grand less, again, in a RAV4 Prime. By 2030, Lexus wants to be fully electric here in the United States. I think they might have to go back on that. Hybrid uptake right now is just giving them crazy profits. The demand for hybrids is higher than it's ever been before, and they have fantastic hybrid system. Once they're able to get those batteries from the North Carolina battery plant, they'll start making RX plug-in hybrids here in the United States. And in theory, they should be able to reduce the cost of this. I think the RX and TX and NX should all be hybrid or plug-in hybrid. That's just my 2 cents. I could care less for a fully electric at this point until battery technology and charging gets better. So let me know which flavor of RX you would want. Turbo 350, turbo hybrid 500h, 350h hybrid with 40 miles per gallon, and pretty good 0 to 60 around 7.5 seconds, something like that. This will do 0 to 60, by the way, in about around 6 seconds. I'll just say I'd be conservative, about 6 seconds, which isn't that much slower than the 500h. Just let me know which powertrain for the RX would you be getting. I've talked about them all. I love talking about Lexus. You guys know I started this channel as a Lexus master sales consultant. And so I've sold a bunch of RXs before. This is the best RX. There's no doubt about it. Overall, top to bottom, most versatile powertrains, smoother than ever, more efficient than ever, more powerful than ever. And even though this plug-in hybrid is heavier and maybe just a little bit stiffer than something like a 350h, it is so good. It's so quiet, so smooth. It's just up to you to decide if it's worth $76,000 or so. Thank you guys for watching. Lexus, thank you for sending me the RX 450h Plus, the ultimate Lexus RX. Don't be confused that the 500h is better. It is not. Just because it has more horsepower, it is not a better vehicle. This is the creme de la creme RX. Have a great day, guys. Thank you for watching. If you made it this far, hit the like button. Subscribe for more Lexus content, of course, and Toyota content and all sorts of other automakers out there. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.